Hi there, viewers. Sorry about season one, episode one. Obviously, my battery went flat. Anyway, continuing on, I thought I'd show you the original design of the Camague 2. This was the first thing that I constructed, and you'll see if I compare it to, it's a bit shonky, but anyway, if you compare that one, which is the one that you saw before, to this one, you'll see that I've elongated the design a little bit. I've put a little bit more in the wheelbase and also a little bit more on the boot just to make it a bit more configured. So getting back what I was talking about before, this car is a hybrid, so it's got an electric engine running the rear wheels and a internal combustion engine, an 8-litre V8 twin turbocharge running the front wheels. Now, of course, this car can run in any configuration. I'm presuming that when you're driving around town at moderate speeds, that the electric engine running the rear wheels would be sufficient, which means that the car would be virtually silent and running off electric power alone. With respect to running on electric power alone, the mass of the lithium-ion batteries would probably give you a range of somewhere between 300 and 400 miles on a full charge. Going to the internal combustion engine, as I said, 8 litres, 90-degree V8, aluminium cast, twin turbos, modelled specifically or particularly off the Bentley Brooklands engine, a 6.75 litre engine, V8, 90-degree alloy, aluminium alloy, and that produces about 395 kilowatts of power and about 1,200 and something newton meters of torque. Expanded to 8 litres, that would probably convert to about over 450 kilowatts of power and over 1,250 newton meters of torque. So just an incremental expansion on the power and torque for that particular engine. And of course it sits in the front and is only used when it's needed. So driving around in traffic, you would probably only be on electric motors. But depending on how hard you want to put your foot down, then the internal combustion engine can engage. It does have a mode of either activating 4 or 8 cylinders. Of course, 8 gives you the full power of 8 litres. And 4 gives you 4 litres of power, which is probably what you need around town if you wanted to overtake somebody. So there's many different gradients. It's like 50 shades of grey, as you can see from the colour of the car. And these are all incorporated to, for the driver, have maximum performance and maximum efficiency. Now, in terms of range, this car with the hybrid system, you could have maximum ranges on petrol alone, electric alone, or petrol electric. One would presume that with the mass of this car that you could do at least 1,600 kilometres on one tank of fuel and a full charge, possibly more depending on how you drove. Now, as I've said before, this website is aimed at the most luxurious of the luxurious. This car is yet to be built, although as I have been informed or am informed, I do believe that the factory in Goodwood in England, where they produce Phantoms and Ghosts and the Wraith, etc., would have the facilities to actually produce this car in terms of the bodywork. The suspension would have to be licensed from Bose, which shouldn't be a problem. Rolls-Royce have already demonstrated their willingness to license technologies from other car companies like Citroën, where they licensed the self-leveling suspension for their 1967 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 2. The steering I haven't mentioned, but I think in this case that the ultimate choice would be an electric version of the Davari system that was developed by Citroën. That's a self-centering system which always brings the wheels to straight ahead no matter what the road conditions. And this, of course, would be an electric as opposed to the hydraulic system that Citroën devised. But modifying that should not be too difficult, I wouldn't think, for the people at Rolls-Royce, who have proved that they're capable of pretty much anything that they put their minds to. So steering, suspension, chassis, fuel tank, hybrid design, all on the outside or in the chassis, and then the ultra luxuriousness that only Rolls-Royce can bring to a car. Of course, every single one would be bespoke. You can have it in any colour you want. If it isn't one of the myriad colours that Rolls-Royce already have, you can mix your own colour and it will be named after you. So this would really be the ultimate car for 4 people. The fact that it's got 2 doors is really irrelevant. The way that the doors are configured and the spaciousness in the car makes 2 or 4 doors really a moot point. In the world where there are a certain amount of people who can spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 million US dollars on a yacht, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that there would be an individual who might have maybe, it's hard to guess, but 25 to 150 cars in their garage, may wish to approach Rolls-Royce and say, well, look, can you just build me something really special? And I think if they got one, there's probably a few of their friends who'd want one too. So there might be a few that get built at the end of the day. Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe something that I haven't even thought of. I'm just thinking of the EX, I think it's EX100 or EX300, which is the self-driving Rolls-Royce, which is commanded by an artificial intelligence called Eleanor. So maybe we'll see those in the future as well. Anyway, I'm just about to wrap up because that's all the things that I forgot to mention before my battery ran out. And I'd just like to alert you to a couple of things that I might do a presentation on. That's if I get enough likes and enough subscribers. And I'll try and make it look a little bit better because I know the graphics are not that flash, but I'll just give you a quick run over the car from up the top. There's the rear, nice sleeking rear, plenty of room in the back for those guys who wish to sit there, plenty of room in the front, of course, roll cage, everything, fabulous suspension, huge engine, very reliable, fast, like I said, 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds and round about a little over 200 miles an hour, which is more than anyone needs. So that's the Rolls-Royce Camague 2. So I'll just give you a little preview of what I might be doing in the future. So I'll just alert you to this little fellow. It's another Rolls-Royce, but it's a baby one. So this is called the Rolls-Royce Seraphim. It's a 2+2. It's a small car. It's only about 4.5 meters long, so a lot smaller than its big brother here. But like I said, it's a 2+2. It holds 2 people in good comfort. It's got a 3-litre 6-cylinder Boxster engine in the front that runs the front wheels, and it's also got the obligatory for a hybrid electric engine in the rear that runs the rear wheels. It's 4-wheel drive, obviously, 4-wheel steering. And it has the doors there are going to be, if it's ever built, that is, like the Lamborghini Countach, so the ones that fold straight up. I'm not quite sure what they're called, but you know what I mean. So that's that little fella there. Be good for running around town, I'm sure, and very fast as well. For those of you that are interested in boats, and most people who like luxury cars are interested in boats, the focus isn't very good there. But anyway, this one is about 385 feet long. It's an old style boat. It's meant to look a little bit like the younger sister of the Titanic. It's got 8 staterooms and a master bedroom, so it can fit 18 people, maybe a crew of about 25 to 35. And of course, powered by 2 Rolls-Royce Pegasus gas turbines to give you about 29 knots full speed and about 24 knots cruising for about 6,000 nautical miles. So that will keep you occupied on the Mediterranean for quite some weeks. And the last one here, I think this will be your favourite. This is something that I just toyed with. As you can see, it's a plane. It's a vertical takeoff and landing plane. It's powered by 4 Rotex turbocharged petrol engines. They're very small, extremely powerful. I think they're about 600 horsepower each. So this craft has got, 4 6s are 24, 2,400 shaft horsepower. Now, the engines run those fans that you can see in the wing, which as for vertical takeoff, and once you're far enough off the ground, they rotate 90 degrees to give you forward motion. And the wings are designed to actually keep, the wings and the canards at the front are designed to keep the craft in the air. It seats 6 people, as you can see. for one pilot, one co-pilot, and then 4 people who are facing each other. So that's where the guests sit. It's got, as apart from the central propulsion here, it's also got a little jet at the front, one at the side on that wing, one at the side on that wing, and that's just for lateral and whatever stability you need when you're landing, which would all, of course, be controlled by computers. Also, I haven't drawn this in, but it would if it's built, come with 2 parachutes. One, that's in the case of complete failure, which would be unlikely when you've got 4 engines. You could put up with the failure of 1 or possibly even 2. But if all 4 went out, well, then obviously you're dead duck. So yeah, 2 parachutes. One of them I call the primary parachute, and that's designed to give you what I call a soft landing on the ground, so you can get out of the aircraft with no injuries. The second one is if the first one fails, is a smaller parachute. That gives you a hard landing, which means you don't die and you don't have a broken spine, but you might have a fractured ankle or a fractured femur or something. So yeah, a little bit harder than the landing from the first one. But yeah, it's always good to have a backup when you're in the air. So I don't know how much this thing would cost to build. I presume it would be built out of carbon fibre to keep it light and strong. The Rotax engines, those little dynamos, are very small and light, turbocharged petrol engines that produce a lot of power for their weight. I think that would be enough to get it off the ground, and once flying forward would probably be capable of around 6 to 650 miles an hour, which is what I've referenced from that very smart fellow called Moller, who developed the Moller Skycar. So that might be something in the future, maybe not as far as we think. It would probably, I would say, not need a pilot or an autopilot. It might just need a very smart AI that can communicate and get it from A to B without crashing. So they're the things that I've got in the pipeline. So if you've enjoyed this presentation, please give me a like, please give me a subscribe. I'm not really quite sure how all this stuff works, but anyway, it's fun and I like doing it. So I hope you found it enjoyable, and I hope to hear from you. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a good day.